Hey there, we're back. So now that we've got Knoxville's distance price, what we can do is we can do the same thing but for other cities. So if you go through the list, you can find all sorts of different cities that you could go to, like Boston or Chicago or I don't know, Elmira or whatever. And you want to pick out different cities and notice at the time that you choose them that they have distances listed right next to them. So for example, if I chose Boston, where did it go? I can see the distance is 631 miles. So I can go back to my spreadsheet and can say Boston, 631, and so on. All right. So go pick out a list of cities that you'd like to go to. Make sure that your cities are not my cities and they're not the same as your friend and neighbor in the class. Every student's got to have their own list of cities. So then the big question becomes, once you know what cities you want to go to, how do you get all your flights? Do you have to go redo the whole thing? The answer is no, you don't. Up here in the top left corner, it has the DTW and our dates locked in, and all we have to do is change it so that we can say BOS, Boston. And if you weren't sure if that was the code, of course, you can go back here to the list and you can see right next to Boston, it'll tell you what the airport code is. See, BOS right there. And some of them will have more than one, like Chicago's got a couple different places, and that's okay. You can just choose one or the other, whichever. All right, so you go back to Delta and you say, I want to go to Boston. You click Find Flights and you wait. Poof, there it is. It's at 347.40. So you go back to your spreadsheet and type 347.40. Real quick, just be careful. Sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes they don't put the lowest price up at the top. So just double check and make sure that you've got the lowest price. It usually is one of these ones at the top. Okay, now go do it again and again and again for all your different cities. All right, there we go. We've got all of our cities listed. Everything's great. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that two things. One, this is price in dollars, and it doesn't really show us that by looking at this. So I'm going to highlight these cells. I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose Format Cells down here. And I'm going to change it to currency because it's dollars. And click OK. And then that Beijing price got a little too big. That's okay. You just go up here between the C and the D, make it the double-sided arrow for the cursor. You double click and it'll make it as wide as you need. Another thing to keep in mind is that these distances that we have listed, these are only one-way distances. If you look over here in the list, it tells you that the distance between, for example, Detroit and Boston is 631, but it says that that's only one leg, leg one. So I actually need to, oopsie, double all my distances. Here it is, Excel. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to left click on price. You move up so that the whole column is what you click on. You click on actually the letter C. Then you right click and you want to choose insert and you're going to have a new column. All right, so let's see. This was one way distance is what we actually found. So what we want, oopsie, and that's too wide. So I'm going to put my double-sided arrow between the B and C, double click. There we go. And I want round trip distance. Now think about that for a second. If one leg to Knoxville is 444 miles, then round trip it would be that number. So cell B2, B as in boy, times 2. Now why do I do it that way? Why don't I just type 444 times 2? Well, because if I do that one cell like that, then I can click on the cell, move my cursor down to the far right corner, so it turns into a little plus sign, double click, and it fills out the whole column with all my different round trip distances. Nice, huh? Okay, so I've got my destinations, I got my round trip distances, my prices, and everything. Let's go back and look at the project and see what we got to do. So we basically have done accessing and recording all of our data. And it's not a bad idea, even at this point, to save it. That way you don't lose your file. And this is kind of jumped to the end, but when you save your Excel file, it says right here, you want to save your last name project3.xls. So for example, I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm just going to save it to my desktop, but you can save it wherever. If you're working on a campus computer, you should save it to your G file or to your thumb drive. I'm going to say Tucky Project 3. There. That way it's saved, and if my computer dies, I still have it there, right? Okay, I'll meet you here next time to keep working on the video tutorials.